everyone, I'm super excited about this video because I'm obsessed with this palette, so let's get started. I'm using my Napoleon Autopilot Lip Service, which I'm obsessed with, as you all know, and I'm priming with their most popular primer, which is the Autopilot Gold Primer. Moving on to foundation, I'm using the old Studio Fix. This is in NC25 and it looks super yellow for me. Not a fan of that. I think I need to start buying the pink and the yellow and mixing them together. But anywho, moving right along, priming the eyelids with the soft ochre paint pot and blending it in with my finger to make sure it's nice and blended. Going straight in with this nice bone matte color shade. We're using this as a base for our eyeshadow. Make sure there's a nice generous coat on so the eyeshadows blend out perfectly. Now it's time to set our foundation. I'm using the Napoleon Camera Finish All Over Z-Face. For brows, I'm doing what I always do, going in with the Napoleon Chocoholic Brow Pencil, blending it out with the Essence Brow Pencil, and then doubling up with the Essence Stylist Duo, which adds a little bit more depth, dimension, and shape. Using my favorite bronzer in the world, the Napoleon Matte Bronzer, and I actually love using this as an eyeshadow. I seriously use it every single day. It's the best transition color and you can put as much as you want on and it still blends out seamlessly, and it's a really nice warm undertone. Now that that's all blended, we're going into this middle color here, and this is going to be our transition color. So we're using it to blend into the matte bronze. I find through the socket is where you want the most amount of color, and then once you've got hardly anything left on your brush, then you're taking it higher and wider. Now going into this coffee kind of color, it's a nice matte shade, and I'm using my MAC 217. I'm creating a V or a backwards C shape, so I'm going kind of back and forth here. Once I've got most of the product off of my brush, then I'm working higher and wider. That's my tip with blending. And to really blend that one out, I'm taking this shade here, which has a bit of a sheen to it, and I'm blending out the edges of that coffee color. So I'm not going straight over the top of it, but I'm using it to fuse out the edges. That's the majority of our eyeshadow done. Now I'm going back into that first shade and just really blending out the outside corners. And now to highlight the inner section of the eye, I'm using this shade here. Now that the majority of our eye is done, I realized I wanted to build up the darkness on this outside corner. So I've picked up a little bit more product and I'm kind of just rubbing my brush side to side until I get that depth and dimension that I'm happy with. And then as usual, once there's hardly anything left on my brush, I'm going to build higher and wider. For an eye cream today, I'm going to use this primer here, and I'm actually going to be tidying up my eyeshadow with it as well to get a nice crisp edge and to hydrate my under eyes. I love this concealer, the Bye Bye Under Eyes. Seriously, I've got some serious baggage under that left eye, and I don't know whether it's the lighting or whether I just need to come to terms with I have some serious baggage, but this concealer actually gets rid of all of it, and I'm so obsessed. I really like to layer it up. And for the winning combination, the Laura Mercier Secret Translucent Brightening Powder. This stuff is honestly the bomb.com. If you have serious eye baggage, you have to try these two products together. And just using the same powder to highlight my T-zone in between my brows and the middle of my nose. And of course, I wanted to amp up my brows even more because I'm brow obsessed. Just using my flat shader brush and the Essence kit again, making them nice and defined because I love it to be nice and squared off at the beginning and sharp through the arch. Now for a wing liner, this totally brings the whole look together. I like to take it from the bottom of my lash line out towards my temple, and then I flip my brush over and bring it from the outside of the wing inwards, and then I slightly keep tracing it more and more across the eye, working from the outside in, flipping my brush over, and then working from the inside out. Flipping it over, working from the outside in, and so on and so forth until you're happy with it. Just make sure you take it step by step and don't rush this. And then when it comes to the inside section of the eye, make sure you are working from the inside out and just doing really small little dragging motions. And just a nice quick coat of mascara. We're going to be popping lashes on anyway. And now I'm just flicking away any excess powder that I may have had from the Laura Mercier. I do find that this brightens my under eyes if I leave a little bit on there and then flick it off a minute or two later. This is one of my die-hard products, as I've mentioned, 24/7. Just using a blush brush and I'm sculpting under my cheekbone. This is pretty much what I use to contour now. It's really not that dark, but I just love the undertone of it. It's such a beautiful, warm, neutral kind of color. So I'm just building it up from the ear down towards the mouth, and then I go from the ear under the jawline, and then I go from the ear up to the temple. So it's kind of like a number 3 shape. And just popping the lashes on now. You can use tweezers if you like, but for some reason I just felt like using my fingers. Just make sure that you pinch the falsies and your natural lashes together so they come out a little bit cleaner. And now it's time to finish off the shadow under the eyes. I'm going in with this shade here and really smoking it out. I like to take a quiet low, kind of where the crease is sitting under my eye. And then I'm going into the darker shade and doing the exact same thing. And then I like to blend the two of those colors together and just make sure that they're both nice and even, and just take them that little bit lower. And going in with some mascara under the eyes. Time for blush. I'm using MAC Sincere. This is such a pretty neutral tan kind of color. It just brings my cheeks out without it looking like I've got a whole heap of blush on, which I really like, and I do like to build it up on my cheeks quite a bit. Now I'm using this new product that I have, which is MAC Cream Highlight in Yellow Topaz. I'm just using my ring finger to pick up the highest point of my cheekbone, which is pretty much where the light hits when you're looking at my face. This is one of the areas that I want to stand out, so just building it up a couple of times so it's nice and highlighted. And then I'm taking it down the bridge of my nose, my cupid's bow, and of course my chin. And of course I want to put more highlighter on. I always go to open the wrong end of Champagne Pop. I'm using MAC Fix Plus Wet with the Champagne Pop, and I'm just really amping it up on my cheekbones, down the bridge of my nose, and everywhere else where I always put my highlight. For lips, I just wanted to do something really soft and beautiful and subtle and nude. So I'm using Napoleon Pink Slip to line, and then I'm going in with MAC Crem'd Nude, which is super nude, but it actually goes really well, I think, because I've got lots of bronzing and contouring on. And then I'm lining again just to reinforce my lips and hopefully make them look that little bit bigger. And that brings me to the end of this week's video. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.
Bye.